Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakah Don't want to see apostles and elders, great most on the rule well, and Shalom, two of the brothers doing the work of sincerity and truth. Um, this article on KOB4 says what? Global food prices rise after Russia ends grain deal and India restricts rice exports. Because, yeah, you had begin with the war, like few weeks to months after the war, you had the prices like oils and grains like going up regularly, because like 60 to 65% I believe of the like global wheat comes from between Russia and Ukraine. And then similar for vegetable oils, a high amount of vegetable oils comes from there. So Russia restricted trade off there, and yeah, it was something that hit globally. But then there was a deal they made with Ukraine where they would let people get through, and they said grain would be allowed to go out. But they washed that recently, like I think like a week, maybe a week and a half ago. They washed it, and since then, well, yeah, like I said, food prices are rising, and the thing that hits the most when this happens, because it says what, India restricting rice export, is when countries start restricting exports, then you know you have more countries needing to import, and less options, because it was the same thing with what was it that thingy? Oh well, yeah, I think even when this happened, believe Putin was saying he was gonna nice up the African nations, um, after this. Because why? Because they're going to be the ones who are affected a fair bit when it comes to these imports. So this is what global prices for food commodities like rice and vegetable oil have risen for the first time in months after Russia pulled out of the wartime agreement, allowing Ukraine to ship grain to the world. And yeah, the grain and oils and whatnot that come from Russia, like most countries, because they're sanctioned, they can't receive it in trade. But then the other places that don't give a fuck, obviously, like Iran, North Korea, China, these other countries they'll do what they're doing, because they're in a different, they're in that BRICS sphere of influence. It says blimey, to the world, and India restricted some of its rice exports, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization said Friday. The FAO Food Price Index, which tracks monthly changes in the international prices of commonly traded food commodities, increased 1.3% in June over July, driven by higher costs for rice and vegetable oil. It was the first uptick since April, when high sugar prices bumped up the index slightly for the first time in a year. Commodity prices have been falling since hitting record highs last year. In the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, disrupted supplies from the two countries exacerbated a global food crisis, because their leading suppliers of wheat, barley, and sunflower oil disrupted supply from both yeah, they're leading, so both the countries are leading suppliers of wheat, barley, and sunflower oil and other affordable food products, especially to nations in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, where millions are struggling with hunger. And yeah, it's something that the West, well, I say the West, the poor, the broke people, it's gonna get peak. Because here, you know, in the UK, it's cost of living already. So there's already various things, mainly essentials: electricity, gas, food, transport, clothes, things people basically need just to survive. Those are the things that are going up, which is why it's cost of living. So food prices going up. It's gonna make the squeeze tighter. And then as well, they always bring up the statistics that it's like most people, um, live paycheck to paycheck and don't have like a month's to 6 weeks worth of savings. So yeah, it's a wrap. It's peak. Like it's basically gonna be on top. It's gonna be hella on top. Um, so this is what a forward is struggling with hunger. So the world is still rebounding from the price shocks, which have increased inflation, poverty, and food insecurity in developing nations rely on imports. Now there are new risks after Russia in mid-July exited a deal brokered by the UN and Turkey that provided protections for ships carrying Ukraine's agricultural products through the Black Sea, along with Russian attacks on Ukrainian ports and grain infrastructure, which was the same thing happening before. It's like they were attacking the ports. And then, what was the other thing it said? Yeah, Turkey made the deal. That was like, I think, a big part of what made the deal come together. And I think you recently had Turkey, give the green light to basically let them what Sweden and not well I say recently, a few weeks to months back. Yeah, Turkey give the green light to letting Sweden and Norway into, I believe it is, into NATO. So, these things might be related, might be like, okay, we're gonna fuck this off. But regardless, now people have got to deal with it. Now it's getting peak. I think that was maybe one more thing. It says your international wheat rose by 1.6% in July over June, the first increase in 9 months. It says more rains, India's trade ban on some varieties of non-basmati white rice, prompting hoarding of the staple in some parts of the world. And yeah, that's something that China has done of a lot of resources. A lot of things that are being traded, China was stockpiling them before, the war started, before there were shortages. China was stockpiling to where I believe they said that like a year and a half worth of stored supplies. So, they're obviously anticipating, trade sanctions, war basically going forward. So they're setting a stockpile there. Said what? The restrictions imposed late last month came as earlier than expected. El Nino would dry, warm up weather in some parts of Asia. It was expected to harm rice productions. So yeah. So it said rice prices rose 2.8% in July from a month earlier and 19.7% this year to reach the highest level since September 2011, the FAO said. So yeah, prices going up. That's the thing is well, the demand's not going anywhere. So yeah, it's gonna stay being peak. But that's really, what this says. People are looking for an out. They're thinking, there's some means by which you're gonna be able to, avoid having to engage with this judgment we're in the midst of coming to pass, where that bad time is come for people by and large. But most people are not trying to deal with that, but they're gonna find out. Gonna find out how peak is. That belly rumbling is gonna be a key part. 2nd Esdras 16 and 21, it says, Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, not grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Yeah. With, these situations, what happened? It was something where there was a lull. You had that period of time where, the deal was made, and then it stopped, the prices, accelerated. And then everyone was like, oh, it's the situation's been resolved. But now what we're seeing, it's not necessarily been resolved. Well, it's not been resolved. Because why? The war's still ongoing. And it's a viable strategy, which, Russia engaged with again. And now what? A shortage. Verse 22, For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Yeah? That hunger is getting ready to catch a body count. He's looking to up its numbers exponentially, because why? It's been ordained, man. It's been prophesied. So Ezekiel, now Ezekiel 5 and 16, it says, When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I shall send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break the staff of your bread. That's what we're seeing come to pass. Because it's funny that it's wheat getting hit. Wheat getting hit. That's something that's become a staple, to where it's like it's essential to survive, and it's also a key process in feed as well. Feed for various animals. When you're getting a shortage, then it becomes, animal cost becomes exponential as well, because you're thinking like, yo, you're having to buy it, for yourself, then also have to buy for the animals, and then, you're having to sell off the animals afterwards, so you're gonna have to put a premium on that, and it leaks into various other parts of civilization. It doesn't just affect that one region where it's the food. But yeah. Isaiah 65 and 13, it says, Therefore, thus saith the Most High Power, Behold, my servants shall eat, and ye shall be hungry. But behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. And yeah, it's essentially going to be that dividing line. The Lord's basically got his chosen, he's got his elect, he's got those that he's essentially, claimed and been like, yo, these are the ones that are going to make it, these are the ones that got a role to serve, they've got their name written in the book, they did what they were supposed to do, and, those that aren't chosen, those that have basically been left on their own, they've been despised. This is what but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Yeah, essentially, it's a thing where, hey, that dividing line's been cast, and it's doesn't seem world ending. but it's combining was it Combined Disaster, that classic card from the Illuminati card game, Combined Disasters, where you had back to back disasters popping off. That's how these things occur, man. That's how these things take place. Where it seems as if it's just a simple something straightforward, but there's more to it down the line. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom. Yabba Shalom Shabba Shalom Kakadash Shalom.